In this video, we will be installing some baseboard. I will be showing an outside miter, an inside miter, another couple over here, and then over here we have a cope. Welcome to the channel. My name's Brent. This channel we go over all the stuff homeowners need to renovate their home. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell so you'll be notified when we get new stuff out. So let's get into this baseboard. This is a 3 5/8 baseboard by 3/8 thick MDF. Now this is pretty standard builder grade in my area, just outside of Toronto in Canada. And I usually just do inside miters, and that's because I'm kind of lazy when I just want to get this done fast, and they don't really make a huge difference on this thin stuff. Big tall stuff you want to cope. Hardwoods or anything like that you'll want to cope. If there's some real goofy walls, you might want to cope it. So here we have a cope. You can see basically from the top, you can see that it's coped, and then this is an inside miter. So I haven't caulked any of this, and I haven't filled the nail holes. I've filled a little bit over here. Once it's all caulked up and everything, it looks really nice. Fill the nail holes twice, throw some paint on there, and you're good to go. I'm going to be cutting out my garage, so I made a little drawing of all the cuts I'm going to make, and then that way I can go down, cut everything at the saw, and bring it all up and fit it. This is going to save you time, keep you from running up and down the stairs. Okay, we're at the saw. I got a big 12-inch miter saw, but I'm missing the bolts. It got stripped, so I don't stand my base up, but I can cut this base standing up. In that case, just stand it up and then cut it, mitered on the front. Now the nice thing with these is it will lock in at 45, but if you want to get a nice sharp outside miter, you're able to go lock it on 45 and then just pull it out of the little catch there, lock it, and you can miter a little bit beyond 45, and that might give you a little bit better point on your miter. So mine, you have to tip one way or the other. I'm going to tip mine to a 45. Actually no, just tip it to a 45. Lock her in. Now with your measurements, you got to make sure you add and subtract accordingly to your miters. So in this case, it's 10 and a half. I'm going to measure off the back and then put a mark at the back and know that I got a miter off that. If you do the math wrong, you're gonna come out short and long. You kind of get the hang of it as you do it, and I still seem to screw it up every once in a while. Okay, I'm gonna leave this one long because I'm gonna cope this one. So I rarely ever cope anymore because a lot of times I'm just putting this in and I don't find it necessary, but we're gonna cope. So if you got a bigger piece, sometimes I'll just take my saw, cut a little bit out. It's not really worth it for this stuff, but if it's a big piece, I'll back cut a little bit. I like to set it on my saw here, and sometimes I'll clamp it, and I use a scroll saw blade in my jigsaw, and I cut along. You may want to try this the first time with a hand coping saw. It's a little bit tricky with this jigsaw. They do make jigsaw guards that are made for coping, which may help as well. You want to make sure you back cut. You can see that my jigsaw is on a bit of an angle, and this will help give you a tighter fit, especially if the wall is a little bit over 90. But if you go too far, it'll make the edge a little bit too brittle. So try and find a good angle, usually around 20 degrees. Now it's blew out, so If you screw it up like I did, cut a little off and redo it. Now I've got it all recut. I'm just going to clean it up with a little bit of 150 grit sandpaper. Looks pretty good in there. Alright, let's check if this stuff fits. It's a little tight, just pull the middle out. This guy here, that might be a touch long, so it's not looking. You gotta watch out too, sometimes the saw doesn't take everything off all the way. So I like to use a Wolf knife. Oh yeah, that fits good now. I had to just take some stuff out of the back and it fits good. So that's just a miter, like that's pretty good. So over here in this corner, I did a coat because these are usually really, oh man, I gotta fix the drywall here. I should fix the drywall before I put the baseboard on, but that's not the video we're doing today. Next time. So this one I did the cope on, and that one's cut straight. It should just bang on there and be good. Let's see how that looks. Oh yeah. That's the beauty of a cope. If it's out a little bit, it's gonna look good. But and then I'll leave it long and I'll just mark here. And then instead of just going down to cut this one piece, I'll take this one down and maybe cut a few more pieces if they're too long or whatever, or cut some different areas. But you try to combine your trips together so you're not running up and down the stairs for nothing. So I got this guy cut, my cope. Cope looks good. Let's see how this miter looks. Okay, so something's holding it out at the bottom. Who knows? It's probably just some junk on there. Yeah, so I got down here, I have some old nails and some of the mortar. That's better. So that's pretty good. So if I cut these a little bit beyond 45, they would have fit perfectly. So if you want to get these tight bits, you can actually just take and cut a little bit of material out of the back of this baseboards. So a little bit out of the back. Better. A little better. Maybe take a little out of this. Yeah, that's good. Good enough. Anyways, that's how I do is to use your Olfa knife and just cut a little bit of the back. So what I'm going to do is put glue on here, just regular carpenter's glue, and squish a little bit out, and then I'll gently sand, kind of work the dust back in. So again, if you cut this a little bit over 45, it'll fit a little bit tighter, but it's kind of hard on the saw to get it set up depending on what kind of saw you have. This inside miter is good. Let's see how we are at this end. So that looks really good. This one here fits pretty good. Can't complain about that. So I'm going to try and get these two miters lined up, this miter lined up, and here leave this, and leave this guy kind of loose. And I'm going to spring it into place because it's a little bit big, and then I'll make sure these ones are fitting, and then I'll pin this afterwards. So I'm going to glue it up. You can use that CA glue, the super glue, or a combination, but I like to use yellow glue. Make sure you get a good come out on the surface. The other side. Wipe it on your tool belt, on my brand new tool belt. And I'll sometimes put a little on the coat, but since it's back cut, it's not really going to do anything. The caulking will take care of that. So let's get this. And then I'm going to glue the inside. And I'll glue the inside. So this is another thing that the copes, like I said, since they're back cut, you can't get a nice good glue in the inside corner to hold it together. So all that's holding it is just the nails in the caulking. Now fit it together. See how you get that glue squeeze out? That's what you want. I'm using 1.5 inch nails for this thinner stuff. Focus on the miter. Let's open up a little bit. Now you don't want to pin, especially with this stuff. If it's a little thicker, I'll try and pin the two together, but you can't with this stuff. It just splits. And if you pin too close to this metal edge, the pin could hit and ricochet and blow it out. Then you're trying to fill everything. So you kind of have to settle with this stuff that it's, you know, you'll get a couple that are perfect and some that aren't. Take a little more glue. Make sure it's on there. Now take some sandpaper. I'm using 150 grit. And just gently sand. And kind of use that glue to that's squeezed out to. Now if you're using bare MDF, it's nice because all MDF goes back in there. And you don't want to sand it so much around it over, but you want to kind of break the edge and get all the extra glue off. I carry a damp rag around with me usually just to wipe off any glue smush if you can't get it sanded. And then once that's done, then I'll go and pin the rest of it. You want to just hit the bottom plate and then there's probably a stud there. You can look for a screw pop or a hump. Oh, a screw pop right there. So that's usually, and I try to pin underneath so you don't see the pin as much in case it doesn't feel very good. So you can try and hit studs as you go along. It's probably beside there. And if you're having trouble finding studs, there's always a bottom plate. And then if you angle it up a little bit, or you angle it one way or another, it'll go in an angle and it'll hold it up. Really what's going to hold this on when you're done is the glue and the caulking. Like the nails just pull out. Even if it's into a stud, when you pull this baseboard off, the nail just stays in the stud, but it comes out. So you're just holding this till everything sets, and you'll caulk it, and that'll help hold it in place. So let's move on to the next one. And it fit pretty good too. Again, if this piece is a little bit long, just pull it out in the middle and push your piece into here, and then you get a nice tight squeeze, and then when you're done you just push it in, and see it's a little bit of a gap. We're going to push it in, so it's a touch long, but that's just going to help us make our miter better. So I hold that, I'll put this in. It looks like, oops, this piece is a touch long, which again really isn't that big of a deal. You can just caulk that, and it's probably helping the miter stay a little bit nicer because that miter looks really good. So I'm not going to mess with this too much. So again, I'm going to glue everything up. Wipe it on the back instead of my tool belt. this one. This guy here. I've already glued that big long one on the other side, so I don't want to pull it out, so I'll just stick a little glue in here best I can. And wipe this stuff. Fit it in. Again, I have to spring this one out, fit it in. Okay, so she's opened up a bit. I gotta get some pressure into here. That's better. And this one. Anyways, that one doesn't want to go together. That's another problem with this 3/8 stuff. I got lots of glue in there. Instead of feeding it full of nails, we're just gonna do that. And this area, just wipe that extra out. A sponge works good, or a rag works good. Beautiful. So now I'm ready to pin everything else on that I can. So as you can see, this one's bowed out. Okay. So I'm gonna push down so there's no gap under there. These long ones. And you start. So I think there's a stud there. Get up there. And that's it. I don't really go too far in the corners because the glue is going to hold it in there, but you can fire one in. It's just a pain in the end. This one here, fire one in. Yeah, if you go too close, sometimes that'll open your mitres up. You don't want to do that. And this one over here is all nailed. So that's it. So I'll get this area after when I move everything. This miter, if it's a little open, you can just use some wood filler. Got a big hair in there. Fill everything in. Fill in your miter if you need to. Wipe off the excess. But overall, that's pretty good. Once it's painted, caulk the tops. Fill the nail holes twice, sand them up. You're ready for paint. Hope you like this video. If you do, like and subscribe. Subscribe would be good. Next video should be prepping this for paint. I'll probably have to replace this window at some point. That's terrible. So, thanks for watching.